Well, Nigel, we are thankfully into to February. The window is closed. Given the state of the squad, how happy are you with what you're looking at and working with?
Yeah, very happy with the outcomes of the last window. So I'm glad it's finished now. But we think we've had some really positive business done. With 8 players going out in some form or other, and 3 coming in. So we've got players coming in who really want to be here and bring different dimensions to the squad, which is really positive. And of course, we've solved one or 2 conundrums in terms of outgoing players. So yeah, it's been all in all pretty positive.
And with Antoine's deal coming so relatively late in the window, not giving you a lot of time to get 2 deals over the line, I'm sure you were looking at more, but that's how happy are you with that?
Yeah, very happy. I mean, look, we all know the circumstances that we have to work within and the parameters we have to work within. And the club the owners have been really supportive in terms of how we've tried to get deals over the line, and the ones that we haven't been able to get closer to achieving. Yeah, we can revisit them at some other point if necessary, or we move on to other targets. I've said many times, and I'll reiterate it now, that at no point do we really want to bring players in for the sake of bringing them in. And one of the dangers with getting late in windows is that there is pressure applied from multiple sources, let's put it like that, and we have to just remain very clear on what our intentions are. And so on the last day, I mean, it's crazy how all of a sudden within 4 or 5 hours of it all being over, there are still people coming in with bizarre ideas of what they think are good moves for us, and we resist those just because it's important for us to keep the balance of our squad here correct, add in the right way, and have a realistic outlook on it. Really, I mean, that's the thing about it. We're pleased with the business that we've done. We've been able to settle with both Tim and Chris as well, which is I think positive for all parties. So yeah, and the loan deals that we've done as well. I mean, Han Noah's loan, it goes on until into June, and so that means that we're not going to see him again, but we still are able to have control over the compensation situation. So yeah, it makes financial sense for us to do certain deals in a way which both free up some funds, but also keeps the internal mood within the camp as positive as possible.
You've got a couple of new faces at the top end of your team in the last few days. So starting with Anis Mehmeti, certainly somebody who has made a real impact in quite a short space of time.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the things that I think is a very important factor in his story is just how driven he is. He's had knockbacks and then played non-league football to get a route back in. And has done well at Wycombe. I mean, he's a very talented footballer whose backstory gives him a added bit of spice to his own mentality and his desire to get to the top of the game. And I think that's an asset that's also a very, very important, and a quality that's important. So he's a gifted player. He'll bring. He'll give us a different type of option, but he's a very, very ambitious young man, and I think that is in itself a very important factor.
And the fact, he's in no way a direct replacement for Antoine. He's got a slightly different skill set, but is that going to take a little bit of getting used to, that actually for you to get the best out of him and him to get the best out of him, you've got to use him in a slightly different way than you might have done with Antoine?
He will fit into our system straight away. And I think that's the thing. I don't try and overthink the comparisons of players. Antoine, in his own way, is quite a unique player, and Anis brings something different. And so I'm just really happy that we've been able to add a different type of player. But he's a really good and intelligent footballer who works hard as well as being technically gifted. So everybody has strengths and blind spots too. So it's just, for me, more important that we've added 2 more options in that area of the pitch. We know that, in an ideal world we'd like to have added 1 more defender, but we've still got good options back there too, and we've got versatile players who can fill in roles if needed as well. So very pleased with the business.
And Harry Cornick, a much more, I guess, known entity in the Championship, because he's been in it for a good while now, and gives you, again, different options.
Absolutely, and he's a good athlete. He's a really good runner. He brings us pace and energy, and a player who is available. He's a player who plays a lot of games. So again, and he can get better too. He's a player who's been utilised in different roles, and I'm not ruling out that won't happen here. But because we're playing currently with a front 3 with 1 behind, there are lots of different permutations that we can use, and it's good to have those options. It's good to have competition to keep everybody on their toes. So the mood within the camp is good, and that's something that I'm very pleased about too.
And almost just as important, you managed to keep hold of the majority of the rest of your squad. Was there any late interest from other clubs that had you with decisions to make, or was it quieter?
Well, only in the sense that there were people who were interested in loan deals for our players, or take the wages, but nothing came in of. If you're talking about more about something like Alex Scott, there was nothing in that regard. But as you normally get when agents get particularly active, they try and manufacture situations late in the window, which, in all honesty, sometimes it can work for you. I'm not being dismissive of that. Sometimes it can work, but we were very clear on what we wanted to do, and hence we were able to. The last thing that happened was Dylan going out. Actually, that was quite late, and we just felt, because we've got plenty of options in that area, that for his development, it would be a good thing to put him out on loan. So again, it's not just about trying to add players, trying to move players on if if their shelf life has expired, so to speak. It's about looking at whether there are options to develop players as well, and to do that you have to weigh up opportunities that they are going to get. So there's always lots of things to consider.
So bringing it away from all that to actual football, which you got to look forward to this weekend. Squad-wise, I'm assuming the new signings will be available. Yeah. Is Tomas close enough, or not quite there yet?
Tomas Kalas? Yeah, he's been on the bench, so he's been training hard. He'll be in the squad again. So that's another real positive for us.
And in terms of performances, I thought Preston was one of the better ones. There's been quite a few this season, but a game that you can look back on and think, that's a good advert for what you do.
Well, look, we know that we need to win more games in the Championship. That's something which is still an area that we need to improve on. It's important that we try and maintain our good form of late, and be the best version of ourselves. So I think recently our performances have been promising. The cup games have given us a little bit of confidence too, just because of the results and Sam Bell breaking through as well. It's another positive aspect of a pretty good month for us. But look, Preston away is always a tough game. There aren't easy games in the Championship, and so this one will be no different. It will be a tough game. They've got options if they want to go direct. They've got some good technicians too, and experience. So we know that we've got to be as close to our best as possible. But the most important thing is we go there and play with our own style and identity, but also we have to be tough to beat. That's the big thing. Any side needs to have an element of resilience and an ability to work hard together. It doesn't matter whether it's your team's populated with talented technicians. To win a scruffy game sometimes they've got to dig in, and that's what we need. We need everybody to understand their role within the team. As I've said, the mood's positive, so we've got to go out there and perform.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
I promise I'm going to stop using the word maverick after today. But
No.
you said you wanted one.
No, you don't have to stop using it. It's fine.
But
it's fine.
By your own admission, you said you wanted a player to keep you on your toes. Does Mehmeti come in and
Well, I'm not suggesting he's a very ambitious, driven young man, and he gives us something different. And Harry as well. They've both got really positive characters. They're different, and I think that's also good for us as well. Whether Anis is a maverick or not maybe he is, but it's what I like about or liked when I first met him is the intensity that he has to succeed, and that is when you know his background, his family background, and his football story so far, having to deal with some disappointments of if you like rejection. He's worked hard to get himself back. Not only to into a position where he's now playing in the Championship. He's he wants to be a top player, and look, ambition is something which I think we need to harness that, and I don't think it's about trying to give a dose of realism to young players who are really ambitious. I think aim for the top. That's where you want to be, and I think we need players in this building who want to succeed and want to be as good as they can be. So, on top of his technical ability and what we've learnt about him over quite a considerable time, because he's been on the radar for a while. When you meet him, it's you can see that there is a fire burning in there somewhere that he wants to really succeed, and that's great. We have to harness that.
Is there anything you can expand on about his background? And
well, it's not for me to talk about people's. As you're aware, he's a Albanian. He's here with his his mum, dad, brother are here too, and they're a very close knit family, and the Balkan regions had plenty of upheavals over quite a long period of time. So it doesn't take a lot to understand the complexities, if you like, and those types of if you like, pressures and that sort of background, it means a lot. His heritage means a lot to him. His family are very important in his life, as they are in our lives as well. But he's a very driven young man, and I think that's something which, I like.
So you say he's been on the radar for a while. What made him join this month, and why not previously?
Opportunity. Yeah, I mean it's as it is with most things. When deals become doable, then it's important to explore them. And I've already spoken about on many occasions this window not being my favourite because you can pay over the odds for people, but we were able to come to an agreement which is, I think, very fair. Wickham were brilliant with him as well, and Gareth, very cooperative and supportive of the lad's ambition, and I think that is in the similar way that we have been with Antoine. When things become possible, then you've got to explore whether they are doable, and we're able to come to an agreement. Yeah,
it did seem to fly under the radar a little bit. Was there much competition for us?
I don't know. I'm not bothered about whether there's competition. We try and do a business in what we think is a professional way, and that is to keep things under wraps and not really speculate on other people's players. I don't think it's respectful to do that. It happened pretty quickly, in all honesty. So when we were given permission to speak to him, I met him that very same day. So things move quickly.
Yeah, and just on Harry, it seems like another shrewd bit of business. Really good experience, good age.
He is.
Like about him as
he's coming into his prime, but he will get stronger, fitter, and he's already at a session this morning with Yuli out there. So today they've been a split group, so forwards been working together. So it's been you can see that there is a good level of competition within that area of our team, and I think that's healthy because it keeps everybody on their toes. And Tommy Conway can't wait to get back, but he'll have to be a bit patient. But we have some interesting options.
And just on the surface of it, does seem like a very good window. Reduce the wage bill, a big fee for Anton. I say it's difficult to replace him, but two very good forwards. Mm. Is that a big step of the progression that's being made throughout the club, both on and off the pitch?
Yeah, it is. But what's happened in a short period of time is the I suppose the fruits of some really hard work over the last 18 months. It's a difficult story to sort of excuse me, to tell in a way where people just don't think you're trying to pull wool over their eyes. But the reality is that we are trying to make the playing squad more competitive amongst themselves, make it a fairer wage structure, and also reduce the cost so that we are, so we don't have to sell our best players, because the board have been brilliant, to be honest with you. They've been very supportive. John was very much involved in lots of meetings that we had during this week, and I think he's enjoyed himself as well, that he's been a part of the process, and so yeah, I mean it's a month ago, it was doom and gloom, and we're a month on, and yes, results do that, but also it's good for the morale of the people who work here to see that we are hopefully moving more visibly in the right direction. We know we're moving in the right direction, but you need evidence of that, and this window has accelerated what the type of business that we were looking to do maybe in the summer. But it's been possible to do it now, firstly because Antoine's moved, and it's allowed us to explore doing things earlier. That doesn't mean that that's always going to be the case.
I know if it wasn't through the want of trying, but not trying to sign a defender, trying to sign a defender this month, it didn't happen. Are you kind of concerned about the lack of options or the squad depth in defence, or because it's out of control?
There is we do have a, if you like, in centre-back positions, there is, we know that we probably are one player light there, but we have Cal Naismith who can play there. George Tanner's done exceptionally well when he's gone there. Cam Pring has played a lot there too. It means that Tomas Kalas is really now engaged. He's massively looking forward to getting back, because there are not loads of players blocking his route back. So it keeps everybody on their toes. The danger is, of course, that we are a little bit thin, but I would rather work with a group of players who are absolutely desperate to play than have 2 or 3 more who don't have that desire to play, and that's important factor to sort of recognise too.
Sure, and finally from me, it was obviously Richard Gould left
Yeah.
this week. Phil Alexander started yesterday. I know you've spoken about Richard, the impact he's had before. You just kind of sum up his time here and what Phil can bring as well.
Well, I've absolutely loved working with Richard. He's we've not always been, we were always on the same page, but we've not always had the same sort of perspective on things. But that's what I also like about working with somebody like him. There is an integrity and an honesty about him, and he's never shirked making really tough decisions, and I really like that. And he's got my utmost admiration. I've like I say, I've really enjoyed working with him through what's been, a tough time for all of us at the club. So, leadership's really important. Leadership in my sort of position, leadership in his sort of position is very, very. It's critical that football clubs have that, and that those people are visible too, because that transparency. What we have tried to do together, definitely anyway, is make decisions that are in the best interest of the club, and always support very much each other in the public, and support each other privately too. Actually, I mean, I'm not trying to say that we. It's just that when there are difficult decisions to make, what we have to do is make sure that we're on the same page in the public domain, and that's what is always really important for us. So it's been a pleasure working with him, and he'll be back at some point, I'm sure. But he'll definitely be back watching the games as well. So, a good time.
Thanks, Nigel.
Cheers.
Hi, Nigel. With Dan Bentley, Chris Martin and Tim Close leaving, 3 very experienced players, does the dressing room dynamic change at all? Do you kind of look to new leaders to emerge from the dressing room?
New leaders will emerge anyway. Just because players are experienced doesn't mean that they're good leaders. Age doesn't equate to leadership. Leadership is a skill. Leadership is it's something which is very difficult to describe as well, because there are leaders out there who people follow, but they might not want to be a leader. But we've got a really good chemistry within the dressing room, and if anybody was going to ask me a question about the captaincy today again, it's the same answer as last week. It's going to be, I'll let the players drive it, the new players coming in are going into a good environment, I think.
And with Harry Cornick, over 140 appearances in the Championship, 27 years old, with a couple of young attackers like Sam Bow and Tommy Conway, knowing in their development they're going to have kind of peaks and troughs in form. Was it important to bring in another experienced striker alongside Naki?
It was more about it's more about the type of player. We've been moving towards a team that's more dynamic over my tenure here. That's what we've tried to do, get them fitter, be able to match anybody in terms of the physicality side of it, in terms of the high intensity stuff. I'm not talking about total distance, I'm not bothered about that. It's and so we've got good legs within the squad, and we've got lots of pace too, and so it's really important that when we go out looking for players and the targets that we have in mind fit the profile of the team's identity, you know, and yeah, we can play good counter-attacking football. And we've got better at being in possession this year as well, which is another step in the right direction, I feel too. But certainly up top, you need the ability to put your opponents under a lot of pressure.
And you mentioned 3 players in, 8 players out in one form or another.
Yeah.
The squad size wasn't exactly huge before the window. Do you feel the size of the squad now is kind of big enough to hopefully keep playing at the levels you've shown in the recent weeks?
Yeah, well, we've got players who have actually put themselves into the squad who were in the building already, and that is youngsters who have come through this year. So whether people would have thought Sam Bell was a first team player at the start of the season, he is now. We've got youngsters who have made step ups and have put themselves into a position where they are now in contention. So as I've already pointed out, what I don't want to do, or what we've agreed on internally, is to not. We don't want to collect players. We want to reduce the wage bill, but we want to be competitive. And to do that, you've got to get the right types of people in. That doesn't mean we're not penny pinching here, by the way. We're just trying to make it more competitive, and to make sure that we don't have players comfortably sitting on good contracts. Don't want that.
And the 4-3-3 has been working well of late. When players like Tommy and Andy return, can you see that formation being consistent, or you see sometimes switching back to 3 or 5 at the back? How do you see it?
There's no point me saying yes or no to that. It will be dependent on lots of different things. But how we're playing at the minute suits the players that we have available, and why would it change things when we're in decent form? You know, the players are in a good place. They're playing well. Good mood in the place. We've got to go out there though at the weekend and put in another strong performance and win the game, because that's what it's always about. We've had our critics this season, and understandably so. But we endeavour always to try and get the best out of what we have, and try and take the club forward.
And just finally, on Monday night's draw, I know it's a few weeks away yet, but it'd be a great chance for the players to test themselves against one of Europe's elite teams, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So you're right. It's we've got a month of football before that comes along. So it's a reward for the club, reward for the players and the fans, of course. But we'll turn our attention to that nearer the time. But of course, it's something for the players and fans in particular to look forward to. I think it will be obviously a very tough game against a great side, but a chance for us to go out and show what we're about.